quiet, sweet sisters, and I will tell you again. This is the true story of the seduction of Marie-Therese, the Queen of France. Making sure that we were set in terms of technology, as well as just like an actor prepares. So I definitely felt a little more skilled in terms of technology and feeling comfortable with my equipment and taking the time to make sure that I was set up to have a really good session or rehearsal in a way that I think is both taking care of us and taking care of for us in traditional theater, but really leads to a sense of ownership about you and your process and what you need to bring your best self and your best work to the show.
But we had this whole thing of like 3, 2, 1, clap. And that causes a sound spike that the engineer can see so that he can line up everybody's tracks when they're editing a scene. And so, yeah, there were little tricks like that that I wasn't up on.
I learned how to make a makeshift recording studio. I recorded in this big open room and just paneled the wall that's in front of and beside me with a repurposed, what is it called? A mattress cover. I cut it up, padded the walls with it, and then put a clothing rack behind me with a big old quilt on it, so that I had a makeshift little recording studio to dampen the sounds around me in this big old room.
Distance to microphone, we were all using professional microphones. Most of the cast had purchased one or already had one, and learning how close you can be to it and how big you can be, and when you're like yelling at someone, it was a big learning process actually to get kind of everything set up so we could just do it, so we could just perform the way we wanted to perform. And watching the cameras, it was interesting because everyone had a different system set up that worked for them.
When I first booked the role, it's like, okay, how can I really be intentional about my choices in a way that listeners will be able to feel and grasp, so it makes sense to them and they're able to enjoy the play.
Being unable to stop cracking up at another actor's performances. Every time that Chris Murray and Crystal Muñoz would begin, it was so hard, and you can't just crack up because you're recording. So it was a delight and a joy to still have that energy. We had jokes. There were like throwbacks to old early aughts 90s songs that reminded us of this process of doing it all distanced and through technology. And then I also selfishly, because I have a dog who definitely interrupted the recording session a couple times, loved it when real life would sort of impede. A lot of us had dogs or children or roommates or families. And it was a really great way to remind us to keep our feet on the ground and that we're all just humans trying to make art, and the best art is human.
I love the way Lynn Nottage can be very fierce and cutting, but she has this beautiful sense of humor that's also, as cutting as it can be, it's also very compassionate. So I think I just heard the play differently this time, and I really appreciated different characters. And I think Lauren's character, Louise, really stood out for me this time around.
My favorite moment in the play was where Queen Marie-Therese was getting corseted by her ladies in waiting, and was visibly with child at that point and was in denial about it. And so she's insisting that they squeeze her tighter and tighter and tighter into this corset, and it's just not working out for anyone involved. And I just think it's the funniest freaking scene.
One of the actors has a voiceover recording studio in his house, Michael, and he does it professionally. He does professional book narration and audio narration, and you can tell when you hear his voice. It's really good. But his setup is pitch black in there, and so you can't see him, and it's really hot. And on some of the days we were recording for like 8 to 10 hours, and he would take all his clothes off and just be in there naked. So we all knew he was naked, and we couldn't see him, so it didn't matter. But when you're in the scene with him, it's like in your head, you're like, he's naked right now. He's naked and sweaty, and I'm just having a scene with him, and try not to let it influence the take.
So my favorite moment from the play in the story was playing out the aftermath of the Queen and Nabo's illicit pregnancy and diving into the ramifications of our relationship as an interracial couple with a guy who also happens to be a little person. Very real world issues, very personal to me. It was a lot of fun going head to head with the Queen and feeding off of her energy, and that was really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. I've done this play twice. Both times it's been really cool just to figure out the nuance of our relationship when we find out that Nabo got the Queen pregnant. And as far as my favorite moment recording the play, it was, I think, just the community, just being on Zoom together and meeting everyone from all over. I'm in New York City. Most of the other actors are in Oregon, but it felt like I already knew everybody, and it felt very organic, very fun, and overall just grateful for the opportunity to be able to be around other actors given the circumstances. So I just love the community and the camaraderie. I feel like I got a new set of friends that I have yet to meet in person.
God, there's so many favorite moments that I had. I guess my first favorite moment was getting noticed that I booked the gig. That's my first favorite moment. After that, I guess the moments that stick out the most for me was listening to my castmates burp during particular scenes. Crystal and Chris had to burp in certain scenes, and that kind of feeds into the juvenile sense of humor that I still carry from time to time. So I guess that would have to be the favorite moment that comes most immediately to mind.
We had so much fun, even over Zoom. And I think the most fun would probably be that Michael Asberry would show up with a different virtual background every single time. And I looked forward to seeing what it was every time we rehearsed and recorded. And we also played around with face filters. I mean, when Chris Murray's in a cast, it's going to be ridiculous. So we had a lot of fun.
What really struck me was the warmth of everyone involved. There were moments where we were all frustrated or something would happen that we had no control over, but no one kind of like let that affect how they treated one another, which is a really beautiful thing. People were so supportive. I think that something that made me smile was we all felt like rappers or like musicians, and Rance would freestyle a little bit, and then one of us would try to do it as well, and none of us did it as well as Rance. So he definitely takes the crown for like Las Meninas MVP rapper, freestyle supreme, mix master. So we, those inside jokes are all still there, that camaraderie is still there, and I think that's going to happen when you get great people inside a great room.
In the audition, the last young woman I read with was somebody who lives around here in the Bay Area, and I'd worked with her before, and I could hear, because we both turned our cameras off and it was just all audio, I could hear how much I relaxed into it because I didn't feel like I had to prove myself maybe. So like part of my ego just turned off and I just did the work, and it was better, and it was, I guess what jarred me was that it was so, I could hear it so clearly. And I don't think I ever would have without this whole Zoomy experience. So that's kind of an eye opener and a camera turner offer.
Well, this is my first experience doing a full rehearsal process plus production via Zoom. And so the in the room dynamics they're not there, but Michael, who plays the doctor, would side message me, and I'm sure others from time to time, just to say, "Oh my God, that was hysterical," or "You're killing it." Just little commentary and little friendly notes throughout the process, which was really nice. It was kind of akin to like a head nod across the room, or just real-time reactions when everyone is muted and you can't really hear each other, and have that person-to-person feedback in real time. So that was really nice.
And then during the rehearsal process, we kept trying to outdo each other with more and more elaborate Zoom backgrounds. It was pretty awesome.
Michael, every rehearsal, would pull up to Zoom with a new background. Always, without fail, he would always have a fresh background for the rehearsals and also when we were recording. And I love Chris as well, his energy. He would always be super excited about coming to rehearsals and coming to do the play. He would also play a lot of current hip hop rap hits, which kind of caught me off guard, but I thoroughly enjoyed. So that was a lot of fun too. And just interacting with Michael and Chris were probably some of my favorite moments recording the play. But I do love the cast overall. I love everybody, but them in particular, they brought a lot of cool energy to the breakout rooms and the rehearsal and the recording of the play.
It was so cool to be in a show with people all over the country. And I don't know, Stacy Ross is she's hilarious. She's an incredible actor. And I remember, I think at one point, Dawn said something like, could you differentiate the voices between Mother Superior and the Queen Mother a little bit? And out of nowhere, Stacy just like adopted this like, this like sound that the Queen Mother used. And it was perfect and hilarious. And she just did it on a dime. And I was like, that's how it's done.
The last time I worked with Dawn was, I want to say 4 years ago, also for Profile. We did the Antigone project together. And I think that Dawn is perhaps one of the most loving, caring directors who really cares about each of the people that she brings into the room and the process that she's assembling. She checks in on people. She has kind of a sixth sense for like, if something's like bugging you, but you don't want to say it or you don't want to take up time. She's clear and direct and concise, and she has such a full vision for what she wants this to be. I remember seeing her Merry Wives of Windsor down at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival and being so blown away because it was this fully realized, conceptualized vision, and it was presented to you, and it took away sort of that, sometimes you're watching something, you're like, oh, do I buy it? Am I buying in? And you're just 110% in because this vision is realized, and all of her work is so important to her. And when a director cares about the end product and what is being communicated and how it is being communicated, and I think most importantly, who it's being communicated by, it can't help but be a personal experience. Dawn thought through so many small things that I think would be easy to breeze by or not deep dive into or invest in, but she sees those as opportunities, both for her vision, but also for the performers. And so watching Dawn layer that in is not only fascinating and a gift as an actor, but just as someone who's been lucky enough to be in the room with her twice now, it's a carryover and a through line throughout all of her work and her process. She's just truly a really generous soul.
It feels nice to work with somebody who grows you, who helps you grow through her own patience and her own vision and her own humanity. You know, she's just, I think she sees herself in a lot of plays, and I think a lot of directors maybe don't. And as an actor, I find that super helpful.
Even though this was what, a week process, and we've never physically been in the same space, there was instant trust, I felt, and mutual respect, which I really appreciate. Like, I felt like she felt that I knew what I was doing, and, you know, gave little guidances here and there and was like, "You got it, mama." And then we moved on. And so that immediate readiness, I just thought was so great. She leads with her heart too. And she's hysterical.
I love Dawn Monique Williams. She's a real artist's director, is how I would describe her. She loves actors, and it's I mean, most directors, I guess, love actors, but sometimes you can't tell. She wants to get the best performance out of an actor, and she wants the actor to join her on the journey in finding that. So it feels like a real cooperative process. So I came in strong and wrong, even in my audition. I came in going full French accent for this character, and she was like, she was able to take that and steer me in a direction that made more sense for the story, but never in a way where she's like, "You need to stop doing that," or like, "This isn't working." It was always a conversation. And I just so appreciate that about a director, because most actors just want to do the best job they can. You know, we want to be good in the thing. We want to serve the project, the thing. And having a director who feels like is part of the team, as opposed to like someone who's just telling you what to do, it makes a huge difference in the quality of the performances at the end of the day.
She is great, an absolute joy to work with. She's thoughtful, kind, encouraging, really all the things you look for in a good director. Personally, I really appreciated how she challenged me to think deeper about my character Nabo, his motivations, and the dynamics of his relationships with the other characters of the play. As I mentioned before, I've done this play before, but the first time I didn't really have that deep of a character study. So to be encouraged by Monique and those ways to dig deeper and figure out Nabo's motivations and his character overall, that was super cool. I appreciated just the way that she directed and communicated, and thoroughly enjoyed working with her as a whole. 10 out of 10. I'd do it again. Much love to Monique Williams. She's great.
I've been following Dawn's kind of trajectory for many years, and I had heard about her and read about her, and we coincidentally went to the same school, California State University in Hayward, California. I went long before she did, but I still follow alumni from there. And I've been reading about her as an up-and-coming director, so I knew that she was really talented and that she had quite a reputation. And I had a chance to collaborate with her when I worked on a play called Exit Strategy at Aurora Theater, where she's the acting associate artistic director there. So to get a chance to work with her under her direction was something I really look forward to and really enjoyed. She's smart and she's prepared and she has a clear vision. And she's what I would call an actor's director. And so it was really a joy to work with her.
We worked together on The Secretaries, and I was so excited when I was invited to audition for this to see that she was the director, because she's awesome. She'll be the first one to tell you, like, I love actors. I love what I do. She shows up. I mean, she was working on so many projects while we were working on this. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I've been on Zoom calls since, 7 a.m. this morning. And here I am at 7 p.m. still here." And she just works her butt off and is so smart and kind and funny. And I just feel really lucky to work with her again.